me, man. Look at this.
Nice. I think he got his money's worth out of that one. Look at that. He was about 1 mile from death. You can almost see the air in it.
I can feel it.
All right, that's cool. Okay, does everybody remember my rule? Don't touch the tires. Got some tread now. Look at that. Holy crap. Set them out the Elite 3 wide white wall. Blue wall right now. It's the Smurf series. Whew. So, last week a custom chopper came in here for a new tire. When the customer brought the bike to me, he said he felt some looseness in the rear end and heard a bad noise. So I figured maybe it was just a tire wearing out, just like the one over there where it's showing cords. But anyway, when I brought the bike in, I noticed a broken bracket, at least what I thought was an exhaust bracket. When I looked down, this was the culprit, and I'll show you where this came from here in a minute. This was a main bracket, a support bracket on the frame, and you got about 1 inch right there of weld. You'll understand more here in a minute. But this was essentially what was holding his whole motor and swing arm on the bike. It was just a, for lack of better terms, a terrible design on this frame when they made it from the factory. The company that made this bike is no longer around, maybe for reasons like this. But anyway, so for the past couple weeks we've got him straight. Took a little bit of thinking and welding and stuff like that to get him straight. So I'll show you here shortly what we did and how we fixed it. Okay, so here's the bike we were talking about with the frame damage. Essentially this bracket was in here, and this came down and mounted to the bottom of the frame, only about that far. So what we had to do is obviously cut this out and replace it with a much wider bracket. If you look at the frame here, what we did is we inserted a solid tube inside of the frame for support, and you get much better welding to something solid instead of a hollow piece of tubing. Basically, we just reinforced the whole rear end of this bike. Now, with that being said, stuff that you don't see is our countersunk bolt here. What we did is there's a bracket. We had to take this whole bike apart, come in here behind here, and what we did is connected this to the frame with this bracket. So not only did we increase the weld by about 3 or 4 inches of good solid weld to a solid bar, but we also reinforced the top. So what this bike was doing before was all riding on this little bracket, constantly trying to rip it out. And it did. It ripped it right out of the frame. So now there's no way for it to do that because it's supported here and here. The bottom is tied into the top. So it's a much more solid design. You can see this actually hit the frame when this frame broke down here. It traveled that much. This only moves about 1/4 of an inch with your suspension travel right now, the way this is set up. But it went so far as for that to hit there. So you can see that it was coming apart. So basically we just went through it, welded it up, 2 new tires, he's good to go. If there's any more out there, if you recognize this bike, we can fix it. It's definitely a design flaw from the factory. But, you know, no project's too big, too small, man. A lot of people wouldn't take that on. They're worried about, you know, frame damage, you know, they don't want to touch it, but you know, it's just metal. You know, it's welded up, make it better than it was before. So that's my take on it. Since we're talking about choppers, that one there, for instance, we work on a lot of choppers. You know, people these days think it's all baggers, man, baggers, like that one there. You know, choppers are still out there. They're still cool. We still do them. This one's got the chrome frame on it. We did some clutch work to this. You know, kind of an old look, man. A lot of people are getting away from it, but I still dig it. You know, this was a manufactured bike, as far as that one was also. You know, they kind of made them all the same with different paint jobs. You know, it's all on what you want, man. Just a lot of different bikes out there. We take care of them all. It doesn't have to be all Harley to come in here. So speaking of that, I'll show you the one I got outside. This is a bike I built a couple years back. It's got a Kawasaki motor in it. Yeah, I said Kawasaki motor. It's a Vulcan 800 motor. Hand built. When I say hand built, tube steel showed up in the floor. We bent and made everything. You know, there's really very few store-bought parts on this bike. We made the exhaust, we made the frame, the handlebars, you know. Of course, we didn't make the wheels, you know, things like that. That's my overflow bottle. But you know, just a cool little chopper, man. You know, bike builders these days, oh, you got the suicide, you know, the foot clutch, hand shifter back here. You know, little touch of speedometer on the side, my dental mirror, you know, it works. It works. All works together. This is my bagger. You know, threw some bags on it in case you want to carry some stuff. But, you know, back in the day, man, when we were building bikes, this is how you did it, man. You know, you built the frame. You know, a lot of bike builders these days, they don't know anything about welding or things like that. They're just kind of bolting stuff on a bike, you know. But this is how you build a motorcycle, you know, from the frame up. You know, you build the frame. That's a lot of pride in that, man. A lot of people may not like this style, whatever, man, but when I say I built it, there you go. It's for sale, by the way. Somebody buy this so I can do another one. It's been a long time since I did stuff like that. Kind of got me fired up to build another bike after welding on that one.
Sounds good to me.
Just don't have time. It'd be much better if I was riding it, Hey man, can you run these over to 804 Motorsports for me? He needs this delivered.
Oh, Dave.
Nick.
Dave.
At 804
Which
Motor Scooters.
Motor scooters?
Yeah.
Look, you really did right there, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
We're your 25-mile-per-hour performance shot. Okay, yeah, I can take that.
He said he'd buy you lunch.
All right.
Cool. Let me go.
Okay, I'm here at 804 Motorsports dropping off the parts that Chris asked me to take over to Nick. 804 Motor Scooters. Hey Nick.
Hey.
Got your delivery here.
Oh, from Twisted Dick?
Yeah.
Nothing better than a special delivery.
Oh yeah. Straight to you with love. So what you working on?
Oh, got a few things. Got a Sportster changing out some handlebar controls on, and Harley and Victory doing some handlebars and motor work on that. So
Cool.
a little bit of everything. Getting into that time of season. Motor builds, dyno tunes, all the good stuff.
In business.
Yep, that's right.
All right.
What are you doing?
Just,
Running parts?
yeah. Delivery driver today.
That's right. It happens. Cool deal.
What?
Yeah, get me out of the ringer.
Yeah.
I know we're need stuff in a pinch. It's always good to work with the other shops in the area. Cool deal.
All right, man. Well,
Glad to help.
Appreciate it.
Catch your ground.
I mean,
All right, so we just got finished dropping off the parts over at 804 Motorsports. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna go get something to eat. That wraps up this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and look out for what we do next. Ship to State is out.